Just know in-laws manipulated my ex to get back with me so I can be their surrogate. So I, 34 female, and my brother, 35 male, have always known, since we were kids, that I was going to carry his children when it came time. It started as joke when we were teens, when our friends talked about kids and what we were going to be when we grew up. My brother always said that he wanted to have a lot of kids, and since he is gay it was known to us that it wouldn't be through traditional methods. So when we talked about even if it wasn't serious, he would always say I would bear his BO kids for him, and I would always answer that I would without a doubt. Now let me clarify that our bond is extremely strong. We are each other's safe place and we would take a bullet for the other without a second thought. Our father died when we were 5 and 6. We were left poor to the point of not knowing when we were gonna have our next meal, and our mother went into year-long phases of depression and got sick. So we only had each other to lean on. His coming out to her was a total disaster that fortunately the three of us managed to recover from, with me picking up the pieces of what was left to patch up and glue back together, along with other family issues that can become posts by themselves. But we survived, and we are stronger. Time passed. He and I fought and studied hard to get good college scholarships, work and get it through university, and that was what separated us physically. We went to study in different states across the country, but that never really made us grow apart. We've talked literally every day and still do to this day. Through all of that we started building his kid plan. He intended to adopt a couple of kids and have 2 of his own, and together we decided both our timing to do it. Financial matters, medical matters, legal matters, everything. I was a fence sitter about children of my own until I traveled to do business. The company I worked my first job, I was only an assistant then, but I decided then and there that children were not for me. I wanted to focus on my career and build a life for myself child free. In college I met my ex-BF. When I was still a fence sitter, my ex knew about my thoughts on my career and he truly seemed to admire it given my background. He and his family were well off, not crazy rich, upper middle class I'd say. His family had problems with his younger brother, a teen at the time. His grades were very low. His parents even paid some teachers to pass him. My ex would get calls at random hours to pick him up at various places, bars, clubs, even in different states, and my ex would always go, and I totally backed him up because I would do the same for mine. When I realized we were for real, about 1 year into the relationship, I told ex-BF about the fact that I was going to be a surrogate for my brother in 10 years or so. He seemed fine and told me it was fine. He had met my brother by then, and by the time I decided to be child free I also told him, and he agreed, and even said he was proud of me and my dedication to my career. 5 years went on, we grew strong. He moved into my rented apartment after I graduated, got a better job in another company, got a master's, got a doctorate. He worked on his career as well, got his own degrees. We both traveled. For fun and for business it was a dream. He was a dream. His brother became an entitled person, always pulling his strings to make everyone do as he wished. They had several family trips which the whole trip plan had to be changed to accommodate his requests. I was even cut out of some so this or that friend of his could go instead. I kept my thoughts to myself. I wasn't offended or anything. It didn't really matter. We could travel together later. In the meantime my brother became a lawyer, got a serious boyfriend who's also a lawyer, and later on they got engaged. I was 27 when it all started to fall apart. My ex invited me to dinner with his parents and his brother. That night he proposed. I was wonderstruck and said yes. My ex-FMIL was happy as well, but at some point into the dinner they started on about grandchildren. They knew about my choice. I reinforced that. They, even ex-BF, brushed it off lightly, saying I'd change my mind and I'd have to settle down in life and eventually switch the suit for a dress. I was offended, but way too happy with the engagement to be firm enough. This led to fights. This led to me getting baby clothes as gifts from the aisles. I stood up for myself every time, which made his family call me names. Us never setting a date for the wedding. His mother embarrassing me in family events. Until XBF finally dropped the card I was expecting him to drop, that I would carry a child for my brother, but not for him. I told him many times of how the process would go, and that once the child was out in the world he wouldn't have contact with them. I was gonna be an aunt, not a mother, and that was that. He said he wouldn't be taking care of a pregnant woman that wasn't with his child, and I said I understood and didn't expect him to, and he wouldn't have to stay with me or pay for anything during the pregnancy. That was all taken care of, and he was aware. He dropped the subject. Months later, the company he worked for offered him a 18-month job in another state, and he would be away for the time and then back at his old job when he came back, and he took. I had been confiding all this to my brother, and once we got the news about my ex-BF, we hurried to see if I could go through the pregnancy during this time. My brother and his husband had 3 adopted kids already and were eager to complete the family. It was almost close to the time we had previously settled anyways, if a little too earlier, but we could work it out. I told my ex-BF. He got mad, he threw me out, said I had betrayed him, and went away a week later, never once contacting me. I was in a really bad place, blacked out of social media, and cut contact with his family, but all for the medical procedure was ready by then. My brother said it was okay if I didn't want to do it, but I did, and I got pregnant really fast. My mom came to live with me and help. She was overjoyed. I had never seen her so happy, but she had been sick and died when I was 28 weeks along. That hit me like a sledgehammer. The rest of the pregnancy was hard, and I delivered my niece a month later, and although it was hard, she had to be in NICU for a while. She was very healthy. My brother and his husband were with me the entire delivery. They were the firsts to spend time with her and feed her. I did not had a lot of contact with her or breastfeed, but we 3 agreed she would be named after my mom, which was just so important to me. For the first year we agreed I wouldn't see my niece often, to let her bond with her dads, and I decided to donate my breast milk. I focused on myself, job, body and mind for that time, and 3 months later I was in better shape than I had ever been in life, and I was feeling myself all over again, and got back to social media. My ex-BF got back and contacted me, said he wanted to talk and apologize. I agreed. I still loved him, and he was so sweet to me, and we ended up in my apartment. He saw the bottles of labeled breast milk and hell broke loose. He thought it was impossible for me to have been pregnant with the body I was showing in that short period of time. He thought I hadn't gone through it, and he called me every name under the sun again, and for the second time he left. I was angry. I had had enough. I applied for a lesser position in my job, just so I could get away, because I knew I was weak for that man and I needed to get out. So I traveled the world working for the company and climbing up positions again. By the end of last year, the company offered me a executive director's position for an entire division in my home country, in the state I lived for so long and knew a bunch of people. I took it, and in February I got a call. That man, so many years later. I, like the most stupid person I know, answered the call and agreed to meet him. We met. He was different, sad. He told me how he got married, but never forgot me, and how his ex-wife got pregnant with a child that wasn't his, and how he'd been divorced for 2 years and never dated anyone, thinking of me and loved me even when I was away, and how he wanted to be with me, no conditions, no kids, on the terms we had always agreed before. I said I needed to think, and he said he would respect my space and my time, and I appreciated it. A week later I was like, fuck it. He is the love of my life and I will be with him. I was at work and waited until lunch break to text him to meet me that night. When I was taking my cell phone to text him, I saw another text. I recognized his brother's name, and the text went like this. Hey op, how are you doing? We heard that you and ex-BF are back together, and the family is so happy. Me and my wife are so very happy for you guys too. Long rant about the personal struggles he and his wife were going through, and we are trying to have a child for over a year and just discovered neither of us can have children, so when we heard you guys were back together we thought you both could be our surrogates together. Isn't that awesome? He is my brother. You already have experience with it, and we have already discussed everything with XBF and he agreed. You guys will give us the ultimate gift point. Let's FaceTime to settle everything this evening. What do you think? My entire world shattered. I didn't answer. I blocked him, XBF and every possible member of their family that could still reach me. I didn't know what to think. I wanted to cry so bad, but couldn't, not in the office. So I went on with my day and cried myself to sleep like a weak idiot. I didn't tell my brother. He and his husband don't deserve this. They don't need to feel guilty about something they're not, and I just don't have anyone else. The following month the world got quarantined with this mess, and I'm stuck in my new apartment. I've been getting message requests from accounts I don't know about the matter, and I know it's them. They've switched from anger to begging to guilt tripping so many times by now that I'm not sure what to do. I don't think XBF is a part of these messages, but I didn't know what to do anymore. The messages stopped a couple days ago strangely. That brings us to today. My apartment bell rang, but I wasn't expecting anyone. The building doesn't have a doorman because it's all digitally secured. The elevator only opens into the apartments. There's only one per floor with authorization, and you have to have fingerprint recognition to enter or to authorize anyone in. I looked through my windows and sure enough there are the 5 of them: XBF, Xmill, Phil, Dylan, whom I assume is his wife, 36 floors down on the street by the building gate. It's been hours and they keep buzzing me as I write this. How they know my address? I don't know. How they got here? I don't know. I don't care. They are not getting in. I'm crying, but they won't get to see it. At some point they will give up. I just wished for a second that I could have had that love, you know. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe for more videos. See you all later.